Now we are back with books 12 and 13 of Animorphs.
Number
I
12, the
know.
reaction.
What were they called? What was the titles?
Number 12, the reaction. Number 13, the change.
Yes, that's right.
Rachel has a morphing allergy, and there's a pair of free Hork-Bajir on the loose.
Top japes from the Animorphs series today. So then, how do we react?
Well,
Oh boy, I really liked a lot of the comedy in book 12, the reaction.
Seriously?
Yeah, I actually kind of liked it. Some of the comedic moments.
It's never struck me as one of the funnier books of the series.
Of course, I haven't gotten that far, so I can't comment.
yeah.
Well, you're close. I think 14's funnier than 12, so that you got that one coming.
Yep.
But 12, it's got the whole Jeremy Jason McCole thing going on, hasn't it?
And they changed him in the TV series to Jason John McCall.
Yeah, and he's basically the cute dreamboat of the 90s.
Yeah, he's the what's the famous?
He was meant to be an analog to Jonathan Taylor Thomas on Home Improvement.
Yeah, I kind of got the idea that the show was supposed to be like sort of referencing that, sort of being something like that.
So he's like the Justin Bieber. That's the one.
Justin Bieber. Oh.
Justin Bieber and Animorphs.
Well, that works too.
Although he seems to have fallen off the train recently. Who's the most modern teen heartthrob?
I don't keep up
Surely
with that.
There's another one out there.
Yeah, I can't think of any at the top of my head at the moment.
There's always one or two bouncing around.
Yeah.
Justin Bieber must be in his mid-20s now, so that's far too old. He's practically a retiree.
Yeah, he'd be a pedophile.
He's
tried.
Oh, God.
That took a severe downturn.
Anyways, so
I do love the outdated computer references. He has like 20 websites just about him. Wow, a whopping 20 minutes.
Outdated computer iron. When you get to book 16, that's when you'll start to feel old.
Yeah.
How old are you?
I'm 26 as of last week.
I might be wrong then, because you might not remember those days. Yeah, no spoilers. Yes, book 16.
I have told him that it is the out-of-date computer book.
Yes.
Basically.
Yeah, I basically remember the year 2000, a lot, but like...
So I'm 31. I've lived 5 whole years. There's practically a generation gap between us two.
Yeah.
Things were better in my day.
Yeah.
Didn't have phones that weren't attached to walls.
Yeah. When a cell phone was literally just a phone. When to buy it, the LMS pops back in number 13, the change. This book is a huge game changer.
Yeah, there was something in it I actually never saw coming.
Tobias gets his morphing powers back.
I was like, I imagine that even something remotely like this, like, would have happened much, much later.
It's what I like is that it's been properly built up. You see in the last few books that Tobias is feeling like he's increasingly more useless. Number 12, Your Action talked about this, and a few others like number 11, The Forgotten, where he was pleased to have a role with the grocery store and all that.
Do you think that the authors didn't originally plan for him to get his morphing power back, but quickly realized how useless Tobias was and thought, we need to do something about this?
That could be a reason.
Because the LMS just directly interferes. Yeah. And in a way that he tends to interfere, which is basically, you got a choice. Now, because I'm not making you choose the choices, I'm effectively not doing anything. But I'm basically twisting reality to be a certain way. But never mind that.
Yeah, saying it in a way that, it's so complex and doing this, but it's really like what you said.
Well, the Elmas was pretty much the only character who could give him his morphing powers back, so it does make sense.
That's true, yeah.
I have a theory, by the way, that stems from this book, but I'm going to save it for later. I think the first thing we need to do is get the reaction out of the way because, let's face it, it's filler. 13 is the big one here. 12 is just sort of there.
I mean, it is funny. It's like I said, the TV. I told Iron that the TV show adapted that into a book, but it changed a lot of things. It gave the morphing ability to Cassie, and the crocodile wasn't as big and dangerous in the TV show because obviously.
Yeah, it's true.
Let's be fair. Cassie and Rachel on the TV series are interchangeable, so
yeah,
it doesn't matter.
Oh.
I like the bit where Marco morphs into a llama and he's just loves being on TV.
Yes, I was just about to bring that. That was one of my favorite parts. I absolutely love that. Just.
I do find it weird how they have morphing allergies, like you can be allergic to strains of DNA.
Yeah,
I mean, I suppose it does sort of make sense, but it's a strange thing to throw in there, and for it to be basically inconstant. Spoiler alert! It doesn't play into like the final battle or anything. It's
because
it's not really that big a deal.
If it had happened again, maybe we would understand it more. But you know, it's not like some things in the series where they did it once and then they did it again. Maybe if they did it again, we wouldn't appreciate it as much. So maybe it's best just to use it this once.
I think we'd appreciate it more if it led to something. Because
do we appreciate the Helmacrons? Yeah, he does know about them to an extent. So. You don't have to put spoilers.
If the what's it called again? It's not the Frollis maneuver. That's when Axe takes multiple things, isn't it? It's not Hereth. What's this process called again?
Herethilant.
Herethilant.
Didn't they describe it as like burping? I love that.
Burping DNA.
But if that played a part, the Herethilant, in something important down the line that had real consequence, I think people would appreciate this book a lot more because it would introduce that concept. But it just doesn't happen again ever.
There's also the fact that any animal who gets the morphing allergy would effectively be benched until it happens. That's why they had to do it with Rachel instantly.
Yeah. It would take someone out of the fight, and I will just never see that again.
I will say I do like the underwater stuff where they morph into the leptin javelin fish. That was great. He's deflated like a balloon and he goes shooting through the waters. Ah!
I think that got a laugh out of me.
This is truly the point where Viscera 3 just loses all intimidation factor, though, isn't it? It's gone by this point. Ian, do you feel intimidated by Viscera 3 anymore?
Not really.
As a character in these books?
Yeah,
definitely not anymore.
Those early books had a lot of despair, and Viscera 3 felt menacing. Now it doesn't.
He's a silly sod. It's just a ridiculous Viscera 3 plan. He makes a fool of himself, and it's just like, you're a complete tit, aren't you, Viscera 3? Honestly.
Oh yeah, and since what I like about the morphing allergy is how they deliberately break the rules of the series to create suspense, and then it's explainable, because you're morphing from one form to the other, which is impossible, and then she breaks the house that way.
Yep. Whereas like a certain cowboy hat wearing person would be like, oh, I'm just gonna do what I want.
Yeah, I like when the house breaks down and she's calling 911, says our house fell in.
Yeah, she just turns into an elephant.
How about the scene where...
Yeah, it's a Mario. It is a Mario, Rachel.
How about the scene where Chapman is trying to recruit Rachel to the sharing? That's actually very underrated. Because here's someone who may be emotionally weak, and it's just Chapman trying to recruit him to more Yerk fodder, basically.
And she's like beginning to turn into like a bear in the middle of the meeting, and her shoes start falling apart.
Yeah, it does have its good moments. This book, I do give it that.
Yeah.
And when I think I rated it 7 out of 10 when I did a review. So yeah, it's good. It's not a bad book.
That's a
book.
fair rating.
It's just filler.
as filler, it's pretty good filler. There's worse filler.
Yeah, a certain cowboy hat wearing creator could learn from doing this to do decent filler.
And,
Cowboy hat.
let's discuss one other thing.
Oh, I'm referencing Dave Filoni.
Oh, I thought you were talking about freaking Indiana Jones or something. Yeah, he doesn't wear a cowboy hat, does he? No. Carry on.
There's something I'm going to bring up, which is it was a refreshing to watch the popular reviews 10 years ago because he took equal issue with Cassie never technically asking to acquire Rachel's DNA as much as I did. That just feels very jarring.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I wasn't really a big fan of that part either.
That part riled me up.
It's like, oh, she go, Cassie. Like, I love Cassie, but here she is going on about, oh, we need to ask permission from the animals to use it, but when it comes to humans, she's like, oh yeah, I can just touch you and
she doesn't ask
morph you if I want.
It's written as if she takes it for granted because Rachel never technically says yes, and she acts very freaked out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it doesn't reflect well on Cassie. That she's always been the hypocrite, and even the books at times acknowledge that she's a hypocrite.
And even in the next book, he says, "We need to ask Jeremiah's permission." It's just like you.
I think she's done it before as well. She let Axe in book 8 morph Jake.
Yeah, remember that, Sean? Or he went to get some chili.
Yeah.
She was just like, yeah, you can morph Jake. He wouldn't care.
And this is one of his first that was one of his first feeding frenzies.
The chili, yes.
Do we get any feeding frenzies in these books? I don't think we get any feeding frenzies in 13. Don't remember about the reaction.
We won't get the next one until number 17, the Underground.
I can't wait for Axe's next feeding frenzy.
Believe me, mate. It's not worth it. 17 is not worth it.
Is it a bad book?
Oh yes.
Well, at least I'll get to see a feeding frenzy.
I actually like that.
It's not worth it.
I actually like that book because it's well written, but there's also the fact that
Get out! You're not allowed here anymore. We'll
see what I think of that book when we get to it.
My problem is that it doesn't play a part in the larger continuity.
My problem with it is that it's shit. It's just badly written. But anyway, that's still another day.
I suppose
I'll find out if I hate it or like it when I get to it.
Trying to think over the last thoughts about number 12. The reaction is trying to think. I can't think much.
What was the question?
Trying to think over some final thoughts for number 12. The reaction that we could go over.
I think we've reacted enough.
Yeah.
Right, let's change. Let's change the topic.
The change.
Change places.
There's a moment in number 13 of the change I really like where Tobias is looking at a faded magazine. It's just very introspective. It just fits Tobias to a T.
What, a bit emo? Just woe is me all the time. I mean, I get it. He's a bird. He feels down sometimes. But I can't relate to Tobias at all. Well, I can to a degree, but certainly less than the other Animorphs.
Yeah.
So the parts where it's just introspective and thinking how sad he is, it's just like, carry on with it. Get on with the book. To be fair, though, this book, it does it the best. This is a 10 out of 10.
Yeah, I think this does the Tobias character the most justice. We talked about earlier what happens is that there's 2 free forfeit here. Yeah, they're going to play a major role in the series, especially since they have this Kawatanage that they're going to have a child. I always wondered how Jeremy and Kit Halpak could even be married. Since, they didn't make that choice. Their Yerks did.
Probably in a. I'll put it this way. I'm not sure if these are spoilers for Iron, but it's stuff that you just sort of take in as you read the books. The Hawkbajir mate for life. So they've probably been force mated at some point.
Yeah, I could see
that just automatically.
I could see the Yerks doing that.
Yeah.
We
got Hawkbajir warriors, so we gotta breed them.
Because Ket is pregnant, so with Jara's kid, so it's probably
shotgun wedding.
Jar Hammer's probably thinking, yes.
There's a point where Jar Hammer has to prove that he doesn't have a Yerk in his head, and he rips open his own head.
Yeah, I was so edgy.
And
then he just casually, puts puts it back on and it heals over.
We don't often see the healing ability. It happens sometimes in the series. This is the most extreme example.
I remember seeing it.
Yeah. The goal is to basically fake the Hawkbajir's death because the Yerks are just never going to let them go. They really don't want dissent in the ranks. So Mr. 3 does his usual stuff and has Taxons and Hawkbajir out in broad daylight. They're starting a forest fire. They're killing any animal that moves.
Yeah, it's not going too good for him. But they get him out of there and we don't see him again for ages.
Yeah, we won't see the Free Hawkbajir until, and I admitted this to Iron, till the Hawkbajir Chronicles, because that's the framing device for that book. So it's going to be a while. We'll see the Chi before we see them.
Oh, we'll see the Chi several times.
Yep.
Bastards. Don't like the Chi. Slanderers. Punk rockers. Don't like them. Iron, do you like the Chi? Well, I don't, and neither should you.
I like that one that we got introduced to.
Eric?
Yeah, Eric.
He's a stone cold tosser. And you'll learn that. You will. You'll come to learn that.
Oh my.
One of the things, these minor moments, again, I want to talk about is that Tobias says he's been scouting for more Yurko entrances, and he found one at the car wash.
Oh, Yerk entrances?
Yeah, to the Yerk pool.
Because I remember further down the line in a particularly notorious book, Tobias lists off known entrances. I think yeah, it was garage, school, a playground somewhere. There aren't actually that many entrances that we know of throughout the series.
There's the one in the mall.
There's one in the mall. There was one in the school, but that got closed off after book one.
Yeah, after the first attempt.
Yeah,
and there was that attempt that caused, Tobias to be stuck in hawk form in the first place.
Did it cause him to get stuck in hawk form?
Yeah, a lot of fans like.
Yeah, because he got stuck and couldn't get out in time.
This is where further down the line we start asking the more deep questions.
Yeah, I tend to think he deliberately trapped himself to just escape from his bad home life. And that's why he doesn't return to human now that he has his actual old human morph and is shifting him through time. Because
he explains that because he would lose his power to morph and he wants to continue fighting.
Yeah, that too. But he has no home to go to, is also the thing.
No. He could go live with the Chi, but why would you want to do that? He could live with the Hawkbajir now. Because we've now got a new faction thrown in there.
Because Tobias has formed a bond with the Free Hawkbajir, They see it as he liberated them, even though it was kind of just a pawn for the Elmist.
Mm-hmm. I love the Hawkbajir.
Gerahami and Ketha back free.
All because of the Free Hawkbajir. I love the Hawkbajir species now.
I have a theory about the Hawkbudger and the Ellimist, which I will get into in more detail in my own way later down the line.
Yeah.
But the gist of it is the Hawkbudger are almost the Ellimist's favourite.
Yeah.
They're his favourite, which is why he specifically wants the Animorphs to save these two.
Yeah.
And he's made this garden for them. And there's lots of little bits of evidence for this, which a lot of us
there was
who haven't read yet, Iron.
If I remember correctly, one of the characters, maybe I think it was Tobias, kind of speculated, wait, did you just make this?
I think it was Marco. Marco even calls it the Garden of Eden.
Yeah, it was Marco who did that. Yeah.
But my theory is that the Ellimist, for whatever reason, has grown an attachment to these Hawkbudger. And that's his main aim, is I don't really care about much any other species, but this one, you know, I like them. I want them saved from these yerk bastards.
Yeah. And of course, the valley itself is kind of very hard to find, which is convenient.
Most of my evidence for this, by the way, comes from the Ellimist Chronicles, so that's a long way away.
Yeah. Very long ways. And near the end of the series.
I love the name of that, the Ellimist Chronicles. It sounds so mystical and mysterious.
It's a grand sci-fi adventure. If you like sci-fi, then yeah.
We've actually started the Animorphs Chronicles and we finished the first 16 chapters.
Oh, what an awful letdown of a book.
You don't like it?
Oh, part 1 is fine. Part 1 is really good. So it's split into 3 parts, isn't it?
Yeah. We just
Part 1 is really good. Part 2 is fucking awful.
Oh, he pretty much knows what they're doing to Chapman, so it's like he's not the tragic figure thought he is, because at this point they've already shown he's how the Yerks discovered Earth.
Oh yeah, one of the worst parts of the Animorphs Chronicles is just how they handle Chapman.
Yes.
We've known this guy as this noble figure, and then Animorphs Chronicles is like, oh, actually no, let's just turn him into an evil fuck. Why?
Yeah,
because
he's
of name
just
recognition.
angry and evil, and
it kind of breaks its own continuity because the ship was locked down and there was supposed to be no way he could activate its DNA analyzed and voice print activated with thought speak and all that, and it's stuff Chapman would not have. Plus, the Yerks wouldn't allow them to land. So how is that possible?
The Animorphs Chronicles is just a shit show, honestly.
Well, I like how it's written as sci-fi. I like the spaceport stuff. I like them going through space.
Well, that more hard sci-fi edge is
boarding
I really
the
like that.
Spritna ship and learning about the Time Makers, stuff like that.
Yeah, but it's written like a crappy B-list movie.
Yeah.
It's I don't like it.
Yeah.
13 is much better. That's a 10 out of 10.
Well, I would agree with that. I like number 13 to change.
It's probably one of the better books of the series, honestly. I think a lot of people would agree with that.
Plus, this is the first time that the Animorphs have got Hawkbudger morphs, which are going to be very useful later down the line.
Mm-hmm.
Because those can be effective battle morphs in some situations. I mean, it's better than Tobias' Hawkeye.
Oh yeah, so Tobias now has what morphs does he have now? He's got like freaking.
He's got a raccoon.
Raccoon, that's it, and himself.
Yeah, plus the Hawkbudger.
Oh yeah, the Hawkbudger too. You know what I really like? I always have this image of these menacing Hawkbudger all marching in unison.
Yeah, it turns out they're gentle herbivores, though. That's what the blades are for, stripping and eating bark.
But I love imagining them all marching in unison, in groups together.
It makes sense, though, that's why those blades are that way, and they just form a natural weapon, unfortunately. I will say another thing I like about the Animorphs Chronicles is how they explore the taxon homeworld and the taxon culture. That's pretty good.
Yeah, it's one of the better parts of it. Is there anything else we need to talk about the change?
Yeah, sure.
Iron. Where do you think we're going to go from this point on?
Oh wait, what?
What's your predictions going forward now?
Well, let's see.
Any clues at all?
I mean, Rachel was particularly invested in the idea of Tobias being human to the point that she can't accept that this is what he wanted, just to be back in the game and to have a human morph and to be able to morph again.
Yeah, Rachel gets all weird several times about Tobias.
Well, I do imagine I'll be seeing a more Elemist stuff in the future in his meddling.
Well, things you don't know sometimes, do you? Because we're introduced to this character and Craig as well, who are known to fiddle.
I have brought up the Krayak before. He knows
Yeah,
that
he has shown me a picture of the Krayak and told me that they play like this little chess game.
a cosmic chess game and that they're like opposites, you know.
Yeah.
So he does know that.
But we don't know, because sometimes they'll appear to the Animorphs, but then sometimes it's almost as if they're doing something, but they don't appear, and you don't know. Because as everyone knows, Cassie is secretly the Elemist.
Yeah. I know what you're talking about. That's a good one, to be honest.
The Elemist.
Like Jesus, she was sent down by God / Elemist.
You know, the Elemist
bring people to the light.
There are
explains why she's so good at morphing.
There's some fans who have this theory that the Elemist was the God from the Old Testament and New Testament of the Bible. There's some fans that have a theory that was the Elemist.
Wasn't it mentioned in Book 7 that there was a higher power than the Elemist?
I think that's number 26. You know,
or was it 26?
Yeah, it was 26.
It was one of the books where he said, "There's a being even more powerful than I."
And he says, I thought you were all powerful. And he says, no, I only see so from your limited perspective. Yeah, that's number 26, the attack.
Maybe that's actually God. High above.
Yeah.
In the clouds.
Actually, so we are definitely going to see the Free Forfeiture again. We'll see the Chi again. There's all these. We will see the Elvis again. There's all these factions that are being built up that's making the universe far more interesting. There's a final faction we haven't seen yet, but we will eventually.
That's hold on. Here's a question, and I've just thought of it. Why didn't they just get the Chi to do a hologram of the two Hork-Bajir dying?
Yeah, I don't know. I guess it's because they're a very long ways away and would have taken time to get them there.
But the Animorphs went home for one night.
I suppose no one thought of it. When you think about it, why don't they just get the Chi to free Tom? They'll threaten Tom's here with Kandrona starvation, but there's a way out, which Yeerks do surrender easily. We saw number 6, the capture, where it goes into a Chi's inner sanctum and just has Kandrona beamed in. So it's a lie. Then Tom is free. You know, he can stay with the Chi. He could stay wherever he wanted.
David, I know that's spoilers for Iron.
He does know about the David trilogy, he just doesn't know much about it.
Yeah, I just don't know who that is.
Yeah,
exactly.
I'll just say to you, David should have gone with a Chi, and you know what I'm talking about. Iron doesn't. I know
what you're talking about. He'll see that in due time. He knows that's a special trilogy of books between 20, 21, and 22, but he doesn't know specifically the events that set them up. There's a funny moment for the pop reader review, so where Marco mentions the weird glow from used Carlisle across the street. He makes it like Daily Dan Hawk. Finally, with this vision animals, I could go back in time and take care of that fucking elephant. He made that guy into a meme.
Spoiler for your Iron, everyone dies in the David trilogy.
F1?
Yeah, they alt F4 simultaneously.
Oh, yeah. I think I see what you're saying. Yeah, but he'll find that out in time.
They all die horribly. in a submarine.
Yeah.
Topical humor.
Yeah,
Sorry, it was too soon.
I will bring up one thing. I don't have to say specifically where it is, but we will see a stereo rip again. That's brought up and it happens again.
Isn't that in?
It was number 11, The Forgotten, the first time.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we've got Megamorphs to look forward to. By the way, have either of you been getting the audiobooks?
No, I don't have any of the audiobooks.
And I'm generally not one for audiobooks. I prefer text.
Ah, right. It's just the Megamorphs and Chronicles that are coming out in audiobooks.
Yeah. It's going to be great for someone we know who needs audiobooks. I legitimately, like I could talk a little bit about the graphics novels. I have no idea how far those are going to go, but I hope they make it this far as we've gone into the series, That would just be so great.
I'm thinking about a number of artists who could possibly be commissioned to do full graphic novels.
Yeah, but the official one.
Yeah. Once the official one comes to an end, which I'm pretty sure it will at some point.
Yeah.
It will continue.
Yeah, I think you could do the first 26 because those seem to solidify the pure K Applegate era, and after that, it's more the Ghost Written era, at least until the final ending. It just stuff like that. I hope it gets as far as number 26, The Attack, because I love 26, The Attack.
Yeah, that's a good book. That's a quality one. Certainly better than that damn wretched 17.
So, I don't know, got any thoughts?
Oh yeah, I've been wanting to say something. For some reason, I really like the idea of the Free Hork-Bajir Nation. That's what I like to call it, all because it makes me think of the Free Jaffa Nation from SG-1.
The Free Hork-Bajir Nation.
That would
be a strange flag. It'd just be a piece of bark.
They're kind of like that. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's okay. Actually, I do have a question for you, Adam. Which is your favorite of the Chronicle series, and which is your favorite of the Megamorphs? And if it's number 2, don't name drop it if you could.
The best Chronicles is Hork-Bajir Chronicles.
I can see why you like that. That's a very quality one, and I'm hoping Iron likes it too.
Best Megamorphs is 3.
By
a long way. That's easily the best one.
I can see why you like 3. It's pretty good. I'm sure we'll continue absorbing and see what he likes.
What was that, sorry?
Yeah.
I didn't hear what you said.
I said I'm sure Iron will continue absorbing and see what he likes out of Animorphs.
Megamorphs 3 is an absolute swashbuckling thrill ride.
Marching, Hork-Bajir. Every time I hear the name Hork-Bajir said, I read, I imagine them just marching.
And that's another thing I like to bring about the TV show. When I was a kid, I felt upset. They had no Geds, they had no Taxons, they had one Hork-Bajir costume, and they didn't even get that right because when they removed the Yerk, it was so docile, it just stepped into the leaf biofilter to be vaporized. And that's not what a Hork-Bajir would do. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
The TV show, I've come to accept the TV show for what it is.
I like the music, I like the actors, but they didn't do much.
They missed a lot of. The problem was the books are too graphic for a TV show.
That's true.
Especially
for one that's on Nickelodeon.
They wouldn't have been able to do with the David trilogy. They wouldn't have been able to do book 19, which is another one that they could have easily done, but the subject matter was too much for the show.
Yeah, this is before Avatar, you got to remember. Before Nickelodeon realized, hey, we could do the action genre too. If they'd been animated, it would do a lot better. It was something from Japan, like an anime. I think that actually fit the Japanese style, like something from the 90s, like Yu Yu Hakusho or Birdie the Mighty or those kind of animes. It would fit
that. Anime, I'm not so sure.
Yeah, but if there was...
I think it could work.
But basically, if it had been animated, was my point, it would have been different.
Yeah.
But I think the Animorphs storyline, though, is too mature more mature for kids than a lot of people who would get their hands into it would think that it is. They're like, oh, for kids, it doesn't have to be that sophisticated. It's just, it is. It has rewatchability because whenever I reread Animorphs, it still holds up now that I'm an adult and not a kid. And that takes talent.
Some of it does.
Well, yes. So
Sometimes it goes a bit like, oh, fuck's sake.
the best part.
I feels like I'm reading a kid's book. A lot of the times it is a bit more like, yeah, I can. As an adult, I can appreciate this.
Yeah. So it seems we're closing on 40 minutes. Do we have final thoughts to go through on 12 and number 13 and Animorphs as a whole before we wrap it up?
Relevance, whiplash. So,
Yeah, even
one
though
of the
it was
least important books to one of the most important books.
like
But they're both
even
good.
though that was kind of like a filler thing, like oh yeah, Bishop 3 scheme of the week. I got some laughs out of it.
And of course, with his morphing power back, Tobias can now join the others where he couldn't. So that's going to stick.
Indeed. And I really think the change made me appreciate the Hork-Bajir so much. I really like them a lot.
Yeah, now you're going to feel even more sorry for them than you should have before because apparently Alfangor has said they're decent people right at the start, and now we see why because they're herbivores. And I did give Iron a little bit of spoilers, and that when we go to the Hork-Bajir Chronicles, it's not that they're just herbivores; they simply don't have an understanding of the concept of violence. It kind of makes you jealous a little bit.
Just so weird to think. You never think, oh, they're so peaceful. Like, look at these big things with razor blades and horns. They're deadly.
Yeah, but it's for part.
You still wouldn't have an arm wrestle with one though,
Yeah, that's true.
or play, as the Americans would say, football with one.
Yeah, I think you're talking about rugby.
Oi, game of rugby.
Oh,
Do fucking right.
Yes. Yeah.
I want to play a game of rugby with you.
So I really like these books and can't wait till we finish the Anna Chronicles and then our 14 the Unknown. We'll be back to do this.
Which is Cassie next?
Yes, she's next.
That's what I thought.
Then Marco, then Jake, then Rachel, and then Axe again.
Oh, I can't wait to.
But 14 is legitimately funny. It's not really relevant to anything, but it's one of the funnier books in the series. So
Oh yeah.
I do like it.
Plus we get a chance to imitate General Hammond, which I think he's gonna like. So that seems to be. I would give number 12 reaction a 7 and number 13 the change a 10 out of 10, just like you said.
Yeah, that sounds about right. That sounds about accurate.
I give them both a knuckle sandwich of love.
Any other thoughts?
Nah, I'm done.
All right, so that was our review and discussion of books 12 and 13, and see you whenever we do the next review.
See you later.